Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for day number 4 of the Custom Mario Mail-In Tournament. We're almost halfway there through the main part of the tournament, but first we gotta get through these two groups, and here's the first one. Number 52, Feroshi, at 44 grams. Number 40, Charlie Racing, at 69.56 grams. Number 27, Shih Tzu Squinky, at 39.31 grams. And number 31, T-Ball, at 79.62 grams. Once again, I gotta commend the creativity. Some of the racers are modified, some of the cars are modified, and I'm not sure what's going on with Squinky there, but either Mario's wearing a hat or that's a half Mario, half Shih Tzu driver, who is apparently tall enough that their hair hit the starting gate at the very beginning of the race. As we get into this race, though, Charlie Racing does have a lead, but here comes Feroshi. I think that vehicle is called the Circuit Special, but I'm not entirely sure. Cars are not my specialty. But Charlie Racing does get the first win, so if anyone's going to be undefeated out of this group, it's going to be them. Meanwhile, Feroshi barely finishes, and Shih Tzu Squinky right behind them, and here comes T-Ball, so everybody did at least finish this time. I am definitely wondering, though, how some racers are able to fuse separate cars together into one. Although I do love when that happens, because it creates a new vehicle, and we get to see whether it's a good design or bad, and so far, whether it is good or bad, I love the combination. But so far, Charlie has the lead, and I'm not sure what Baby Luigi is holding on to there. I think that was a steering wheel. So I'm not sure what they're connected to allow them to steer, but apparently it's working. And I also want to deliver a quick apology, ladies and gentlemen, if my commentary was a little bit iffy in the last video. Because as I recorded that, I just had gotten off a plane a few hours before, so I was definitely a bit tired. In fact, the same can be said for this one, so hopefully, now that I'm a bit more warmed up, I will have at least improved a little bit. But for now, Charlie Racing does take the second win. They will not have the fastest time, which is still held by Blue Line Racing at 14.41. Shih Tzu almost didn't finish at all, but they did, and it was Feroshi that didn't finish. The other two managed to pass him after Feroshi just did not have the speed to be able to finish. I don't know if it's because they were going backwards and then spinning sideways going down that hill, but they just did not have the speed to move forward enough. And I'll have to get a better look at Yoshi's face, because it looks like he might have some sort of... I want to say that's the smile often found on Bowser Jr.'s bid thing, but I could very well be wrong about that. It could be based on something else and I just don't realize it. But now in this third race, Charlie Racing and Feroshi are side by side, and they are in the same part of the track, so we'll be able to see how close they are to each other. Feroshi is currently behind him, and Charlie Racing is trying to keep that lead, because they just need one more win to move on to the grand finals, or rather today's finals, and keep that dream of being undefeated alive. Feroshi was right on his tail, but they spun around and lost so much speed going around that turn. And Charlie Racing himself lost a lot of speed as they go down the hill, but thankfully they had enough of a lead that they still managed to finish in first, and Feroshi almost didn't finish in second, as Shih Tzu Squinky finished right behind them. I'm not sure if Feroshi will face forward here, but I definitely want to get a better look at the front of his head. So it looks like Charlie Racing will already be moving on, and the favorite to join him, I believe, currently is in the favor of Shih Tzu Squinky. Yep, it is, because they have 7 points. However, Feroshi has 6. So it could happen to either one of them still. T-Ball still technically has an outside chance, but they will definitely need to work for it. Meanwhile, Charlie Racing is holding onto that lead, trying to stay undefeated. And Feroci is in a separate lane this time. If Feroci can finish in second, we might have Feroci move on instead of Shih Tzu, but we will see. Charlie Racing remains undefeated as they go into the finals. And it looked like Feroci was in front of Shih Tzu for most of that race, but they lost that. And if it wasn't for T-Ball, he wouldn't have finished at all. So it looks like Shih Tzu Squinky will be joining Charlie in today's finals, and Charlie will remain undefeated as they go into the finals today. And so far, only 2 racers have done that going into the grand finals. And the fastest time is still held by Blue Line Racing. Charlie Racing has a sweep. They just want to be undefeated now. But for now, we'll have to see how the second group does, which consists of number 14, 41-14 Racing at 110 grams, number 35, Speedy McGee at 66.55 grams, number 29, Hammer at 48.37 grams, and number 42, Reina Racing at 50.16 grams. I'm not sure what the weight limit is, but 1 or 2 of these racers are definitely very close. And it looks like DK, this is the version of DK from the movie. And I think this might be the first group we've had that consists of entirely Mario characters. Most of them either had 1 or 2 or possibly 3. But we rarely ever see all 4 be Mario characters. That being said, look at the designs that these people are making. I am absolutely intrigued. I would personally love to see some sort of design contest come out of this, because these are amazing. But we do have a non-finisher in this first race, and who is it? It looks like it was Hammer. Meanwhile, the other 3 racers did finish. So we'll have to see how that comes into play for the rest of this group. Yeah, I think Speedy McGee looks... Actually, no, Hammer looks the most normal. While the others are definitely modified to some degree. I'm not sure what Yoshi has around his neck, but hopefully it's not choking him out too much. Especially if he makes a sudden stop anywhere. But for now, in this second race, Reina Racing does have a good-sized lead. But here comes 41-14, who wants to stay undefeated, but they have to finish in front of Reina to do so. And so far, they're struggling to make that happen. And Reina goes into that last turn, currently holding the lead. Will they be able to dethrone 41-14 early on? They will! They lost a bit of speed right near the finish line, but they had enough to cross it. So we will have no undefeated racers out of this group. And this time we have 2 non-finishers, one of them being Hammer. And Speedy McGee was the other one, and they were in the same part of the track, and they both stopped around the same spot. Getting stuck before that last turn seems to be a common occurrence. Race number 3, after both of those racers didn't finish, things are definitely in favor of 41-14 and Reina, who both, I believe, have 8 points here, and the only other person with points is Speedy McGee with 2. So it's getting much, much harder for Speedy McGee to even move on, let alone Hammer. And if Reina and 41-14 finish at all, it'll make it significantly harder. And as I'm saying this, Reina actually gets stuck, and there goes 41-14 taking advantage and getting the win. And somehow, Reina was able to get enough speed to stay finishing in second place, and Hammer was able to finish this time, but the same cannot be said for Speedy McGee, who this time got stuck on the turn before the last one. So things are definitely not looking good for Hammer or Speedy McGee, who only have 2 points each after the third race. If 41-14 and Reina are guaranteed, both of them, to move on. It's not often you see two racers guaranteed to move on by the third race, but it's certainly happening here. So here we go into the last race now. No one is undefeated, and the 2 slots are already guaranteed. So this is more of a victory lap for Reina and 41. Right now, Reina actually has a decent-sized lead. No one anywhere close to them as they go into that last turn. And in that last dip, no competition whatsoever. Reina gets the win, and 41 finishes in second. So I believe they will be tied. But because they are the top 2, they will both move on, and we will not need a tiebreaker. And Speedy McGee falls just short of the finish line. But what kind of time did Reina have? It was a 16.56. So definitely better than some of the previous races we've had in the last couple of groups or so. But it's still not quite up to the standard of the fastest time yet. But now we move on to the finals. So far we have one undefeated racer, but we still have all wonderful designs. Right now Reina has a slight lead and 41 is right next to them. Charlie Racing, the one undefeated racer in this group right now, is trying to take back the lead. Here he comes actually. Right next to 41, he's trying to block him and make him lose momentum, and it looks like he might have done that. But he lost a lot of momentum himself. And now Reina has a decent chance to stop Charlie from being undefeated. But they are actually right on his tail. Here comes Charlie trying to get the undefeated streak alive and was unable to do so. 3 racers finished relatively close together, and Shih Tzu Squinky finishes in 4th. I do love that name though, I will give him that. But that was quite the finish between those 3. But I think Reina was able to finish in 1st, stopping the one undefeated racer we have for today. So Charlie was at least able to get a sweep. That is something he can hold on to. It's just a matter of what he does in this group. Will he be able to move on or not? So far, he struggled just a little bit. But they did finish in 2nd, so they are keeping their chances alive right now. And 41-14 and Reina are relatively even as they get into the lane mergers here. And Charlie is trying to keep up with them. Meanwhile, 41-14 is trying to take the lead back from Reina. It looks like they might have done that, though not by much. In that last turn, their lead expands, and 41-14 will finish in 1st yet again, like they did earlier, and Reina is trying to finish in 2nd, and they do, passing in front of Charlie to stop him from passing him. Yet there's one thing that's been relatively consistent with Reina and 41 is that they keep going back and forth between who finishes in 1st and who finishes in 2nd. Although it looks like 41 actually finished in 3rd. What am I talking about in that 1st race anyway? Now in terms of points, Reina has 8, 41 has 7, Charlie has 5, and Shih Tzu only has 2. By the way, I don't know if Shih Tzu is the correct pronunciation, but I'm trying not to say it the other way that people normally do, because it certainly sounds like a certain word if you're not careful. But Reina does have a slight lead, I think, but they are kind of going back and forth with 41 right now. And 41 slingshots himself down that last hill, and they finish in 1st yet again, something they absolutely needed. Meanwhile, Reina finishes in 2nd again, Charlie in 3rd, and Shih Tzu finishing in 4th, so it looks like they will be out now. Even if it wasn't certain before, it certainly is at this point. I definitely love how tall that racer is, though. I will give him that much. And yes, I'm counting the hair in that. But now things are looking pretty good for 41 and Reina, because 41 now has 12, Reina has 11, and Charlie has 7. So they still technically have an opportunity, but they will need to pull off an upset here, and so far they haven't been able to do so. Reina does have a lead here, and Charlie's actually in second right now. If they can pass up Reina, they might be able to pull something off. But so far, Reina just has a big enough lead to the point where it's not really possible. So Reina would need to spin out or something, but they don't do that, and they finish in first yet again. And while 41-14 does finish in third, I think they'll still move on alongside Reina. We'll check the points to be absolutely certain, but that's what I'm going with. And a 16.38 is definitely respectable, but they'll definitely want to pick up the pace in later races. Here come the points, and yes, Reina and 41 will be moving on. And now half of the roster for the grand finals is complete. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you for the other half.